guys, how's it going? It's Al. I have 6 rookies that I have to talk to you about. You can see one of them is right there on the thumbnail. We're going to talk about the 6 rookies that I think are the ones that you should be drafting here in your 2023 fantasy football drafts. Whether you're drafting Best Ball on DraftKings or Underdog, whether you're playing on Drafters or in your friends and family league, I'm going to go with the latest ADPs. And these are not really in any particular order. It kind of started out that way on my sheet. And then I was like, you know what? I kind of want to put them in order of preference, but then also I wanted to put them in order of ADP. I'll talk you through all of it. These are the 6 rookies that I think are probably going to make the biggest impact on a week-to-week basis on your fantasy team. So thank you guys for being here on the Al Smizzle Fantasy Football channel. Drop a like on the video, subscribe, ring the bell. I come out with a ton of videos all the way through the NFL regular season, and leave me a comment down below with which rookie you like if I did not list him in this video. Let's go.
He's a legend.
If you don't know already, Underdog Fantasy is your home for the best and biggest best ball drafts every year. Right now on the board, they have the weekly winners, which plays like a daily fantasy contest. It's a little over half full. They have the Best Ball Mania tournament, which is $15 million in prizes, $25 entry. And right now, just put out there today, the Eliminator. We just did one of these live on stream. It's a lot of fun. It's the exact opposite of everything that you're doing in Best Ball Mania. You're not drafting for ceiling, you're drafting for floor. You're drafting cash game lineups. It's essentially a modified guillotine league where the lowest scoring team gets knocked out every single week, or lowest scoring 2. They have different pods every single week. Smaller field tournament, different style of drafting, whole lot of fun. All of those drafts are available on Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code ALSMIZZLE to get up to $100 deposit bonus on your first deposit to the site. So go to Underdog Fantasy and check it out today. Taking a look at what the rankings are right here. They have the most current ADPs, NFL season. Obviously, you can put in your different rankings for weekly winners or whatever. I went through this and looked at what the ADPs were today and highlighted 6 rookies that I like. If you wanted to use your rankings, you can upload them here with a CSV. I'm using the Establish the Run rankings, smizzle.tv/ETR. We'll get you a 10% discount over at all the great products over at Establish the Run. Go check it out if you want. But here are the 6 rookies. Number 1 is Bijan Robinson. Now, I love the player. I don't like the price. I think he's going to matter. He's definitely going to matter. I have him ranked personally as my running back 4 on the season. The problem is he is currently the RB3 in drafts, and he's going 5-6 picks ahead of the guy that I have personally as my RB3. So I'm not going to end up with a lot of Bijan Robinson this year, even though I think that he's going to matter. Now, if that corrects, and it seems to be changing a little bit in the sense that my RB3 is Nick Chubb, who we talked about on the favorite running back by round. He is right now a ADP of 12, so he's my favorite running back in the first round. If that corrects and Bijan falls to like the 12-13, the 1-2 turn, and that's where you're picking, and guys like McCaffrey and Eckler and Nick Chubb are gone, I would advocate for taking Bijan Robinson there, and if that happens, I will be. But right now, he's got an ADP of 7.7, which is a little too rich for my blood, but the upside case is extremely strong. 1, first-round drafted rookies, guys with actual NFL draft capital, not fantasy football ADPs, average over the last like 5-6 years about 285 touches per season. Bijan could outdo that. He's also very good in the passing game. He's very talented catching the football. Great boon on DraftKings with their scoring system, full PPR. If you're drafting there, it adds up in half PPR as well. The thing is, the Falcons ran the ball 559 times in 2022. I think there's a distinct possibility that not just 285 could be outdone, but like 350 could be approached. 350 opportunities or touches would be monstrous. Even opportunities would be monstrous. Bijan could easily top 70 targets. He could top 275 carries in this system and still have enough meat on the bone for the other running backs like Algier, like Cordero Patterson that exist on that roster. People, well, Bijan's got a lot of mouths to feed. Yeah, but they run it a metric ton. So there's a distinct possibility that he gets you to those 350 touches, and volume more than anything matters for running backs when it comes to fantasy scoring. So Bijan is fine for me, but I would not prioritize him ahead of Nick Chubb. Jamir Gibbs has an ADP of 31.7, but it's rising. He's climbing. He's almost getting into the back half of the second round. Where he is right now, I'm fine drafting him. As I said before, We have that history of first round running backs having a touch rate of about 285. The question is where they spent that draft equity to go get him. They also had a team leader, a locker room leader who had a very specific role, led the league in touchdowns last year in Jamal Williams. The team elected to let him go and then signed David Montgomery for more money. So they prioritized David Montgomery over Jamal Williams. And then they went out and they spent the 14th pick on Jamir Gibbs. So we're thinking, a lot of people are thinking that Montgomery's role is going to take on something along the lines of what Jamal Williams' role was, and Jamir Gibbs' role is going to be something like a juiced up Swift's role was last year. Maybe? I think he's going to get more than that. I think it's going to be a 55-45 split. I think Jamir Gibbs is going to get the lion's share, no pun intended, of the carries in Detroit. But I do think that he's going to probably be on the butt end of that split when it comes to the valuable inside the 5 carries. He clearly has more upside than David Montgomery because we know what David Montgomery is. He is a tackle breaker, he is an evader, but he is one of the more inefficient running backs in the league on a per carry basis. Now, the argument against that is, well, he was on the Bears last year. Yeah, but like if you compared his efficiency behind that same offensive line to Khalil Herbert's efficiency behind that same offensive line, Khalil Herbert like 2.5x his efficiency on a per carry basis. So Jamir Gibbs has a lot more explosiveness than does David Montgomery, but David Montgomery, a professional running back with a role. As long as Gibbs can pass pro, we're going to be fine here. I believe that he's going to play 55% of the snaps. I like him in that spot, but David Montgomery and all of that other context that goes along with him, it definitely it needs to be addressed. The rookie crop this year, not as strong as the last 2 years, in my opinion, with regards to daily fantasy or with regard to fantasy football drafts. But they are going to play a role. This guy, though, as you saw in the thumbnail, has elite upside. He is being drafted right now as the 108th pick on ADP, 108.1 currently. He is the quarterback 11. Quarterbacks around him are guys like Tua, Jones, Kirk Cousins. And while Tua and Jones and Kirk Cousins are nice, and Daniel Jones had a very good season for us last year, and I like him again this year, Anthony Richardson could very well lead the league in terms of rushing yards from the quarterback position. I want you to think about Lamar Jackson from like 2019, not the 35 passing touchdowns that Lamar Jackson had or whatever it was that year, but like the 1,000+ rushing yards, the 65 rushing yards a game with touchdown upside. Kyler Murray, when he was a rookie and second-year player, when he was running the first half of the season before Call of Duty came out. I want you to think about Justin Fields last year. Anthony Richardson is not going to complete a high percentage of his passes. He's going to miss a lot, but he's going to give you a really, really, really solid floor with his rushing yards, with his 10 rush attempts per game. I believe he's going to be in that 8 to 10 rush attempts per game. He's going to get big time plays. He is a Cam Newton style quarterback in terms of body size, body type. And if he can add to it by getting something out of the passing game, the rushing game numbers are going to buoy his week-to-week floor and his massive upside. So if he throws for 15 or 16 touchdowns but runs for 1,000 yards and 9 to 11 touchdowns, that's a top 5 QB type fantasy output being drafted as the QB 11. So I really, really, really am starting to like Richardson at his ADP, but I fear that it could climb out of control over the next 2 weeks. So get in before you can't. Zay Flowers is probably at ADP my favorite rookie wide receiver. He is at 79.5, being drafted as a wide receiver 40. Jackson Smith and Jigba I also like, but both of them are fighting for targets as the third wide receiver on their team, or let's say there are 3 wide receivers and the Seahawks have 2 really big guys that they have paid a lot of money to. They also have 2 running backs with Charbonnet and with Ken Walker Jr. There's only so many targets that are going to go around there. Same thing to say with Zay Flowers. Neither of these guys are going to garner 25% of the target market share and will probably struggle to get above 20% of the target market share with Mark Andrews and Odell Beckham Jr. and Rashad Bateman. But Zay Flowers going to do a lot when they do get the ball in his hands. They're going to play more up tempo in Baltimore this year. And when you look at the ADP, with him being at 79.5 as the wide receiver 40, as opposed to Jackson Smith and Jigba, who I do like, but I'm going to be a little bit more price sensitive to, as the ADP of 58 right now. He's looked great during preseason, but being drafted as the wide receiver 30, I think he's fine, but I'm not going to draft him ahead of Tyler Lockett, who I think is going to post better numbers with a higher target percentage. But I think he's a good play this year, so long as he falls a little bit in your drafts. The price on Zay Flowers is more palatable to me. Those are the top 5. The last guy I'm getting more into as the preseason goes along. I don't like drafting rookie tight ends. They typically do underperform. But what if they don't play him like a tight end and they play him more like an H-back? Dalton Kincaid is somebody that I only really have shares with in my lineups where I've put together Josh Allen stacks. You can see I have him ranked at 145, but he is going at pick 117 on ADP as the tight end 11. He's going to essentially have to be a wide receiver and perform like one, like a big slot guy, in order for him to pay off. With Stephon Diggs on the outside, with Dawson Knox as the inline tight end, with Gabe Davis on the other side, but then Dalton Kincaid, if they're going to run a lot of 12 formation, if they're going to run 2 tight ends or 1.5 tight ends, if you're going to call Kincaid like a big slot, there's meat on the bone here for him to get like an 80 target season. And when you have a quarterback that performs as well as Josh Allen does, it gives you the upside that you need in order to pay off. Now, he can, if everything breaks right, give you a profit on that tight end 11 price tag. But I do think that based on the guys that are going later than him, he will lock in as a tight end 1 on the season in the top 12. How high he goes is going to depend on his touchdown productivity, whether they isolate him in the red zone or with end zone targets. There are bigger guys with more experience that have a lot of mouths to feed, but during the preseason they did play Kincaid a lot with the starters, and there is meat on the bone here if you're willing to pay the really high price. As I said, my only access to him has come through my Josh Allen stacks. I've not drafted him as a standalone, but I understand the upside that is there, and if in your friends and family leagues he does fall, he's a great target for you to beat your idiot friends. Thank you for watching. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.